Now, for some of you that don't know what is an inefficiency, it's pretty much those gaps you can see right here. So this entire zone is an inefficiency. It's also a fair value gap right here. You can see that in this location, this inefficiency acted as a draw on liquidity, and it attracted price to the downside right here. So if you are on sales, you would have used this inefficiency as your take profit position. And if you are looking for a buy, you would have used this inefficiency as your entry position, where you start looking for entries for buy opportunities. The same thing goes to this position here. This is also an inefficiency. The wick stopped here and there's a gap behind. The wick stopped here as well. There's a gap in front, leaving another inefficiency here. You can basically use that as a point of interest, both as a draw on liquidity for price to attract it and go to the downside. So you can be looking for sells from here, use this as your take profit position. And you can see right here, this inefficiency, even though it didn't work for buys right here, the market came back into that position to use it as support for buys for continuation. Also, putting this into perspective, this is also an inefficiency. Now, this one right here, because it's already been invalidated right here and it wasn't used for buys, it becomes an inverse fair value gap right here. And price can also use it. So now, me personally, I don't really use an inverse fair value gap on its own individually. I like to see other confluences aligned with it before I use it as a point of interest. Now, an example is, I can see there's an inverse fair value gap here, which is an inefficiency that got invalidated, that wasn't used for a buy. And I can see right here, there's an inefficiency here. Now, if price comes into this position, to me, it's a high probability area for buys. The reason is because there's an inefficiency here, and then there's this inverse fair value gap behind. So that is multiple confirmations that price will probably come down into this position and use it as support for a continuation to the upside. Is that making sense? Now, for some of you that might still be struggling with understanding that inefficiency, there's an indicator that you can use